This is the JoeZone.
Yo. Welcome to another episode of the JoeZone podcast. Today I have with me entrepreneur, a guy that's inspired me from a distance. Gareth, Duncan. How's it going, buddy?
I'm all good, and you, bud?
I'm liquor, man. Yeah, so like I was saying earlier, you inspired me from a distance, and I know a little bit about your journey. I know you were once upon a time a journalist, and now you migrated to be an entrepreneur. You've got like multiple businesses. Like, can you take me through like the journey, or were you first a journalist? Am I right? You studied journalism.
I studied journalism at CPUT.
Okay,
was
cool.
lucky to be, well, any guy's dream is a sports journalist, right? Follow the stars, go to the big games for free. Got to travel, tour different countries, seeing things live, and that was the dream for 4 years. But after a while, you realize it's the same thing in routine, same season, yes, new players, but it's the same thing after each other.
Did you cover any sport in particular?
Yeah, well, different sports. I started off with rugby and cricket, grew into soccer. Then I did the Olympic sports.
Okay.
So it was quite nice seeing something new every week in terms of new matches and stuff. But when things became a routine and I saw it in the ceiling, that's when the entrepreneurial spirit really came through. I used the opportunity. I created resources at my first job and got to travel as well. So
Where was your first job?
So I used to work at a company called Ivory Media.
Okay.
We worked on a couple of titles, the SA Cricket Magazine, SA Rugby Magazine. I worked across 12 magazines.
So were you print-based or
Print and web.
And
so
web.
It was an interesting time. That's when
Okay.
web really became strong in South Africa. It was born and the numbers.
And you were like on the
cusp. Yeah.
On the cusp.
So that was
of
also the motivation to quit. I
Okay.
started an online magazine first and foremost.
Okay,
So it
yourself.
wasn't straight into marketing or straight into suits or straight into beer. It was straight into starting my own online magazine. I used all the knowledge and expertise.
What is the name of the magazine?
Cape Town Lately.
Okay, I think I remember it vaguely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did its thing.
So did you make that magazine yourself, or
Yeah.
did you construct it yourself or something?
So
like that?
I
or did you
used-
get somebody to do that?
So I had no tech ability at that time.
Yeah.
It took years for me to understand web-based stuff and online stuff. So from a tech side, I used my network. There was a young tech developer studying still, and I paid him to
Cool.
Yeah, we were similar ages on the same areas. I was happy to help out at a discounted rate. So we started Cape Town Lately.
And you were working at the same time for
I
the
quit.
You quit the magazine.
Yeah, that's another interesting story. I started the magazine. I had to choose between the two, and I decided to jump. Luckily, I had the support of my parents. It wasn't an easy decision because at the end of the day, I look back at 2013, it was a different world.
Okay.
There weren't a lot of young people starting their own thing, becoming entrepreneurs, quitting their jobs. So there were a few confused faces when I decided to quit.
Yeah.
I was lucky to get the support of my parents. Say, look, go for it. You're young. You have no dependents. You have no massive bills to stress about. Go for it and see where it goes. And started the online magazine. Ran that well for 6 months. It was up and down. Some months better than others. And then I got my first big offer on the table. It was a marketing client. They actually wanted to headhunt me for a job. And I went to the interview and said, guys, look, I started my own company. Are you interested in becoming a client of mine? Can I do this as a service provider? And they looked at me strange, but they were willing to give me an opportunity. I managed to negotiate myself into a 3-month probation. And they ended up being there my client for 4 years after that. So
Sure.
I took every opportunity at the time. And that was God sent. That saved me in the sense of being a small fry into develop into something bigger. That was one of the biggest turning points in my career looking back.
I see.
So when I turned them into a client, it helped me run a viable business. I could grow. I started experimenting, investing here, investing there, and then the journey started from there.
Sure. So you took that leap of faith. Like sometimes that's all it takes. Like a leap of faith. And support.
Decision support structure is very, very important. I mean, if my parents did tell me, look, we're not really supporting you on this, that could have created a different mood or a different mindset towards it. But the fact that I will never forget, it was a phone call in the office, in the meeting room, and I called them and said, look, I'm choosing between the two. I can't do both anymore. It's one or the other. And my dad gave me the opportunity to follow through. So with that support behind me, I went into it at first. Yes, I was naive. I was young. I was 23 years old thinking I knew the world. But I dived in with confidence, and with that confidence, yes, I bumped heads, yes, I made mistakes, but I was able to get up, rub the dust off, and carry on.
Okay.
And learning through those lessons, the learning curves, and there's been a lot of tough lessons along the way, a lot of disappointments, a lot of frustrations,
Yeah.
sometimes a lack of opportunity or restrictions. I don't come from the most disadvantaged background, but I also don't come from a fortunate background where there was money laying around and I could just throw it here and there.
Yeah.
It was very calculated. I took a lot of risks, and it's paid off for me. So I'm one of the lucky ones, I'd say.
Okay, that's interesting. So then once you were doing so that's like a marketing company you started.
So
the industries.
in hindsight, I called it a small business builder.
What was it essentially?
So I focused a lot on web development, social media work, and helping a thought or idea come to life. Without social media, there's no my business, and there's no clients.
Come to light. That's what I do.
Well, here we go. So you should be able to relate to that.
Yeah, but the way you monetize it is quite interesting. Like that is the.
You take it for granted that people have the foresight to grow something. Like, look, they're good at what they do, right? I got a lot of clients who are brilliant at what they do. They just don't know the business element to it. So I'm able to come in and say, look, you do this at this price. This is your profit margin. This is your expenses. This is how you weigh it out, and this is how you grow forward. Now, before you cut me there, there's the next step. Okay, you made this month. Okay, you pay yourself a salary. You don't use all this money. It's all about putting the right mechanics in place for growth. It's not about making the profit this month only. It's about this month might not be as bad, but here you got these reserves. Let's balance it out. Let's grow. Here's investing to this part in service delivery. You're doing great in terms of your talent or your expertise, but you got to grow the service delivery. You got to bring the client back. How do you do that? That is where I come in. I look at the holistic system, and I help them grow it from there.
It's rare that you get. What I want to say is, it's rare that you get that creativity and business is all packed into one person.
That's all due to street smarts. I didn't go to business school. I don't have my MBA.
I know that, but there's a measurement of creativity to you, and your business acumen is at a high level. Normally, creative people lack business acumen. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that's and it's awesome that you're so passionate about the business factor as well, and you have that creative ability, like, and it's interesting to see the way you structure things, and you break it down quite easier than that marketing people at the corporate company that I work at.
you gotta make it in the layman's terms and understand. Once you have that disconnect with your client or someone you explain to, the interest is gone. You gotta make it interesting, and you gotta have that relatability. If you don't have that, then you can't build the relationship.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
So how did you migrate your marketing company into where you are now?
Okay, so marketing set the foundation. I was able to, my one big client turned into 3 clients, turned into 4 clients. So that set a good foundation for me. Then I went to Thailand in 1 year. I could afford my first international holiday. Went to Thailand.
Travel.
100%. I will always support traveling. It opens your horizons. You see things differently. You see how other people live in different cultures and different ways of life. And you bring that back to South Africa and you realize, oh, here's a gap in the market. And that's exactly what happened to me. So on my trip, I was stayed at a hotel, and on the corner of the hotel, there was a tailor. I walked past him every day. He tried to sell me a suit every day I was there, right? On the 3rd day, he eventually gets me into the shop. I'm like, this guy's not going to leave me alone until I walk in here. I walk in, and I'm a short guy, right? So my sleeves never fit when I buy stuff from the shop, and my jeans never fit.
Yeah.
So I get measured, and I eventually buy the suit. And when I put it on, it fits me perfectly. No alterations needed. I'm like, yo, this is a way of life I never knew. And I came back and I realized, okay, I want to buy more tailored stuff. But when I realized tailored suits are either very, very expensive and out of the payment bracket, or cheap and bad quality, I saw, okay, here's a middle ground here. I love this. Let me start this passion project and see where it goes. I started off knocking at all the old tailors in the Woodstock area and Mitchell's Plain even, and the guys weren't willing to help me, which was very sad, because if you look today, some of them have passed on and haven't passed on that skill to their kids who aren't interested in that sort of line of work. So it's died with them, right?
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to meet my business partner who gave me the opportunity to work through his materials, his tools. He taught me everything I know today, and I've obviously enhanced it and grown on that. But he gave me my first big break. I remember knocking a few doors back in 2016, did matric pull suits to start off, and
He taught you how to make a suit.
taught me how to measure, taught me about materials, taught me the inside and outside of the suit and what makes a good suit, that sort of thing. So I learned along the way. That knowledge has created Judy Suits, which is a very successful business today. I'm able to employ 4 other people, and it's probably my most successful story today. It's
A passion project.
It outgrew a passion project.
A passion project that fucking did that. Like, you know, so we got some of your suits up there.
Oh, that's
I mean,
old one,
fuck,
yeah.
that suits are epic. I saw. Obviously, you do some of the comedy guys. I think Yasin Barnes and
Yeah.
I think Carl Weber. I saw you do some of the guys, and I was like, "Yo, who's this GD Suits?" And then I started. I think I was interested in the GD Suits before I knew who the person was.
Yeah.
And then after a while, I only became friends with you on Facebook. So yeah, but it's interesting to meet the man behind it. So you, and I was wondering are you getting somebody to make the suits, or are you doing it yourself? So you have the knowledge of that art. Like,
So what I learned is you mentioned people are creative, but they don't have the business acumen. Right?
Yes.
I don't come from a fashion background. I never went to one fashion class.
yeah,
So I came with the whole passion view. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to push out the boundaries. I want to go out to the side of the
but
box.
you need to have a certain amount of creativity to understand that.
And you have
and
to
do that.
You have to know the structure and everything. All my tailor competition, they think about making money. They don't care about reinvesting into the product, making it better, etc. They do it the same way, the same style. I do it more of selling the experience. So I do the old school approach. You come in, you check the books, you get measured with the old school tape measure.
I saw that,
On your office
Instagram.
sometime. It's
yeah.
really an old school experience.
I'm
And
definitely gonna get the suit. One day I would love that experience
You're more than welcome
of getting
anytime.
a suit by
Anytime.
you.
But it's more about selling the suit. It's more about selling the experience. 80% of my suits are wedding suits. So so people are willing to invest in it. It's a sentimental buy.
Yeah.
So it's all about making sure that part of their wedding preparation is special. And that's what I carry on my side. Then
I've just never had a tailored suit, and I've always wanted a tailored
makes a
suit,
huge
like
difference,
because, like, you know, like you say, I am built differently to other people, and I don't get it. And if I can get me like a lekker skinny tailored suit, that would be a sweet, because I don't get that in the shops, and to almost have that it would be so sweet. But anyway, I can see and I can acknowledge the art and the design behind a suit, like, because I'm a graphic designer myself, and I can see the colors that you use. That's why I say I can see you're a creative person.
Yeah.
You're not just like you put in colors together, textures together, all these different layers together, and creating a really beautiful
I call it conversation
believe.
pieces, because when you wear a suit that people turn around for, look twice at, it sparks a conversation. Nice suit. So you will see most of my blazers more recently are these pattern blazers.
Yeah.
Or they
I've seen that,
shine, or they do something different that's unique. They haven't seen that before.
Yeah.
I love wearing those because it sparks conversation.
I've seen the Kanye West inspired suit.
Yeah.
And just the cut of that. Oh, it's so good, eh? I went back and looked at it a few times, like the Runaway video, eh?
100%.
Oh, it's such a sweet suit, man.
That's such a simple design, but the way it's put together, 100%.
Like, I think it's the cut of it, man. It's nice. It's different. It's yeah.
So a lot of time clients come up to my office and they have picture references of what they're looking for. So this guy actually wanted the Kanye West suit, which we were able to deliver. But what's very special is when they come to the office and they bring in pictures of my suits I've done 3 years ago, 2 years ago. And that's a nice heartwarming element to it. The fact that they didn't know that I've done it, but they bring it as reference to for their order.
It's a unique style. It's a very unique style. Like, so is that what you say when you speak about the improvements?
Yeah.
How you put your own style into it, like?
You got to reverse engineer the process. You can't think about what I can do and how I can make this good for myself. You got to think, who's your customer? Why are they going to come to you? There are 20 other tailors in Cape Town. So what's the influences behind the decision making? So everything how you look online, come into the office. So I make my first consultation free and non-obligated. You can come in, and you don't like what you see, then you can go out, no stress. But you come in and you like what you see. I like the conversion rate. You spoke about conversion rates. 95% of my clients come back, and that 5%, it's probably a better price deal, but not to get in the same quality. So I'm quite confident when people come through my door, they believe in me as the person, they believe in my business as the service provider, and they believe they're going to get their dream suit for whatever occasion, whether it's a wedding, matric ball, graduation, or just for the corporate office. So you got to fulfill that requirement, make sure that they're satisfied from step one to the last one.
I can see that you put a lot of effort into service, the service that you provide. Like you say, you provide when people come in and they sit down, and that's also a very good element and nice element. And I think it's also lost or forgotten, or a lot of men haven't experienced that. Like go in there and I've never had a tailored suit before, so I don't know the feeling of going and standing there and getting measured up, and I would like the experience, but yeah, and because I like suits and stuff like that, it must be a lekker experience. And you're saying you're doing it well, and from what I see on Instagram, service is a good thing.
And that's really, my network really played off. I used to be a sports writer. I made a lot of friendship with the sports guys, and very early on, I did suits for the sports, with the athletes.
Okay.
And that got picked up. People saw that, and they brought those pictures in, and that's how it grew from there.
Your network.
100%. Your network is your net worth, essentially. If you need something done...
What is that? Your network is your net worth.
100%. Who make things happen,
Yeah.
Like, for example, silly example that happened literally today. My Yoko machine broke in my pocket somehow, some way. I just did a suit for somebody that works at Yoko. I asked for a replacement. Because I did her a favor, without asking, she did me a favor. She's replacing my machine tomorrow. You understand? That's a very small example, but it shows you how doing something without expectation, somebody will help you out at the end of the day. Favor is a underrated currency, bro. But you don't give it with the intention of getting back. Just do good in this world, and good will come back to you. I promise you.
That's a lekker way to look at it. So tell me about your other business that you got. You also got Northern Brew, right?
Yeah, so it's GD Industries as a holding company. I do marketing. It's a small business builder. It's GD Suits that's grown into my big baby.
That's your
That's my
pride.
Cow,
No, but it's a cool passion project that's become a cash cow.
It's insane. The buddy I was with in Thailand, I told him, bruh, I'm coming home, I'm starting this. You're going to see how it is. And he laughed at me at the time. But he always reminds me, oh, bro, you were in Thailand 1 year. And this has turned into what it is today.
So this is Northern Brew.
Northern Brew. The guy next to me.
Oh, that's you.
Yeah, that's me on the left-hand side. So the guy next to me is the brainchild behind it. His name is Jean Rejefte.
Okay.
He was actually a suit client of mine.
Okay.
That turned into a marketing client of mine. That turned into my business partner. Look how life works out.
Lekker.
So after I did his wedding suit, after I did the relook of his business, he told me, Gareth, come over one day. And I come over, and he has...
So you first did a suit for him?
Yes.
Then you told him, yo, bruh, I got a marketing company. Let me do...
No, I didn't. You see, I don't go into relationships to sell only. It just happened that he needed this.
And
I can
you
do
just
that,
like, yo, I got the marketing company on the side.
100%.
let me help you out.
100%. And then he invited me over for a drink, and he gave me this glass of beer. I said, look, buddy, I'm more of a whiskey guy. No disrespect. But he said, no, just taste it. And I tasted it. And for a non-beer drinker, I was very intrigued. It was a good tasting beer. And it happened to be a craft beer that he actually brewed himself. And he said, look, I want to take this concept to the market. I'm a big beer consumer. I'm very passionate about beer brewing, and I got this connection that's going to contract brew for me, and I want to take the beer to the market. So he used my marketing expertise to bring this out, and because we both from Kuilsriver, we both from the northern suburbs, I came up with this concept called Northern Brew, and it just clicked. Okay, it wasn't as easy as I'm saying. It was obviously a couple of meetings and things evolved over time, but Northern Brew stuck. Kayla Lager off paying homage to Kuilsriver. And what was amazing about it is how the community really rallied behind it. And it made sense. Like, guys like to sip in the north, right? Why has no one thought of starting their own beer or brandy or whiskey or something? And it was just amazing to see how many people were proud of Kales River.
Lekker.
Our first event, we sold out the beer before the night was over. It was a great, joyous night, and it just was a special industry. And for me, it wasn't anything promised to me. I wasn't paid for the services. It was a partnership. There's no guarantee of return, but I just saw it as a juicy opportunity to learn about the alcohol industry. Being behind the brand, starting the brand, being behind production, seeing how production works, and taking that to market. And it's no amount of money will be equivalent to the experience I picked up for the last 2 years behind this brand.
It seems like you're not even like taking the risks. It seems like things are just like starting to fall in your lap after a while.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I sometimes sit at night and I think how fortunate I've been that most of my risks have played out. Look, there's been nightmare stories. I've been screwed around. I've been taken advantage of. Things have gone wrong. I've made mistakes.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, if your intention is pure and your ambition is pure, whoever has been faulted on the other side,
Yes.
they're always willing they wanted to correct it, right?
Yeah.
If you are willing to put in the effort to fix it or note that you made a mistake and you're willing to make up for it, people are forgiving. And I've been lucky enough that people see my sincerity behind anything I do. I don't intentionally go out to screw people around. I'm very passionate about what I do, and people see that and they believe in that. So very early on, I made mistakes, but I learned from it, and I'm a much better entrepreneur because of those mistakes. That's why I can be street smart. Like you mentioned, the balance between creativeness and business acumen. I'm fortunate to have that, and I'd love to pass that on to whoever, whether it's a client or just a youngster I'm speaking to. That sort of vision needs to be spoken out, and people need to learn as best as they can. Because I never had that when I started out. I never had a mentor in my community who I could relate to.
Yeah.
And I'd love to play that role going forward. So that's why I take these opportunities to speak to media platforms or interviews or podcasts. It's to spread the word as far as possible. In fact, I actually want to start my own podcast very soon.
Apologies for the question is discussed. Have you? Okay, now I just.
It's on a client, Ethan.
Yeah, one of Ethan.
Yeah, we did a white tuxedo for him. He looked very dapper and in his timeless tuxedo.
He's been on the podcast with me, so
awesome.
One of the UFC podcasts with me.
He was a great client. Met him, and I actually met his wife as well. Sam was doing great work in the community. Did a nice donation to one of their concepts. It's nice that they're very genuine people as well, and you pick that up from energy, right? Yeah. You have conversations with people, you know who has the right intention or not, and
you can hear that early in the conversation. 100%. I can pick up. I'm inspired by the way you've taken risks and moved forward. Tell me, you've mentioned some of the snags that you've gone through. As COVID, I used to ask this question a lot on the Babylon did. Has COVID affected you, or what was the snags that affected you?
I don't think there's anybody who can say they weren't affected by COVID. Okay. Even the PPE guys are now struggling with corruption cases coming on board. But COVID definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone. I'm just very lucky I had multiple income streams. If I didn't, I would have been in a difficult position. Okay.
So the marketing and even though you had your baby, you had the marketing as a backup, or
there were pros and cons. There was pros and cons both ways. So for example, marketing, there were some clients that had to stop because they weren't running. Yeah. But there were other clients that needed this. The suits business had to close because you can't have
people weren't doing anything.
100%. But I was lucky that it wasn't cancelled business; it was postponed business. So people were pushing their weddings out to next year. So I was very fortunate in that. But what I'm going to do for 2020, that's not 2021. I got to now hold my breath till I can get there. I saved. I had to go into my savings. I'm very lucky to save. And please, people, whoever's listening, please save, because you never know the dark days are coming.
I'm not a good saver. I'm going to be honest. I'm not a very good saver. It's I don't know, man. I'm inspired by your journey, and it's I've had a lot of hits and misses in my life, for me personally, right? Yeah. And I can see my creative process is I can see I've come up with ideas that maybe not have panned out. This is one of the ideas of my great ideas, but it's not we're not really there to monetize in things. It's just interesting that the way that you've made that leap to monetizing your passions. I think a lot of people struggle with that, with monetizing their passions. A lot of people have passions, or people is stuck in a job And it's like, that's not really the job that they want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the reality a lot of people face. Yeah, it's a difficult
Yeah.
reality. But it's very easy for me to stand up here and speak about the great hits that I've had. I've had misses.
Yeah.
I've been in positions early on in my career where I wanted to do something and it hasn't panned out, or I didn't have the finances to invest into it. But now, today, I'm in a better position. So I would say don't let go of that passion project, or don't let go of that idea. Timing is everything. There's a reason why things don't happen sometimes, you know. And now I'm in a better position with a better network or better professionals in place to execute on things that I couldn't 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So what I did in the last 3 or 4 years was focus on my core. That's my marketing in the suits. And now I can go into beer. I can go into other things that I'm going to. So I'm quite excited to see how things pan out over the next 5 to 6 years. But it's a lot of hard work. People see me, I mean, you saw walking calls at 8 o'clock at night, you know. It's not easy. But if you want to achieve something extraordinary, you got to put in a level of effort that other people aren't willing to. Otherwise, you're always going to be in the same position as before.
I hear what you're saying. Tell me, you also play a bit of poker.
Yeah. So now we're going to the other passions.
After all this calculated things, like you taking all this, you calculating all the way. On the side here, you got this other thing, poker.
Yeah, I was introduced to poker when I was in varsity. It was a nice way to turn 50 Rand into 300 Rand, you know. I'm strictly tournament poker. It's a strategic game, very similar to running a business though. You get your hand, right? You determine the strength of your hand and you play what's in front of you against your opponents who have their own hands. So it's a battle of wits. It's the best 5 card combination with your 2 hands and 5 cards on the table. So there's different levels of hands, right, that you can achieve. So it's all about now, okay, are you allowed to swear on this podcast?
Yeah, you're allowed to do what
Are
you
you
want
taking
to
to
do.
me, or do you actually have a genuine hand? It's all about determining that. That's personality reading. That's routine reading. How does a person bet, or what amount are they betting? What does that tell me? What's the story? You understand? So I'm a very analytic person. I analyze body language. I analyze routine, actions. I analyze the reality in front of me. So that's the perfect game for me. I love it. So since the days I started playing back in, 2009, I play on the biggest stages now because I love it.
Do you feel that has helped you with your business act, like your
maybe
business
the mindset,
mindset, like?
So I got drawn into
because sometimes I take a skill from one thing and I apply it to another. So do you think it's the same thing like
it's
that?
very similar. It's definitely matured my mindset to understand that things work out and some things do or don't work out, which sometimes they do. In poker, no matter how good you are, you can't win every game. It's impossible to win every single game of poker because the odds are sometimes against you, right? Or the cards don't run out the way they're supposed to. But if you're a very good player and you're very consistent in the way you play, you'll win more than you lose. Same in business. It's all about consistency. Yes, you put in the effort today. It might not be a $1 million idea tomorrow. But if you're consistent and you believe in yourself and you back yourself, one day it might be.
Eventually, the hits will be more than the misses.
100%.
The more you do, the more you get. The better you get, the more the hits will be more than misses.
Behind every successful podcast, I'm using this as an example. They started out with 100 views or 100 listens. But after 5-10 years, there's a breakthrough episode, and then from there, you build your following. So it all starts somewhere. You just got to start and believe in yourself and maintain that belief throughout.
Hey, it's been long, bruh. I mean, we're a year around here, and then everybody else started the podcast, and they seem to like lap me and stuff like that. It's like, it's awkward. But anyway, we move on, and I'm learning from it, and it's something also that like my friend laugh when I bring up jiu-jitsu. I analyze it because I do a little bit of jiu-jitsu. So it's like I take like these learnings that I can learn from doing that you can apply to your life, man. Like sometimes there's people applying pressure on you, and you need to move, and how you need to move to the next position, and it's just the mindset of certain things. And I can see how you'd apply a poker like at almost like a business acumen, like, you know, that
how much I invest into the hand.
It's like that.
It's the same dynamics.
Hard business guy, you know what I mean?
But what I want to take out from what you just said about, you've seen a lot of other podcasts start and people overlapping, whatever the case is. I think what's very important is to focus on yourself, though. We speak about creating experiences for your clients or your listeners effectively.
Yeah.
That's just where you got to focus on. Make sure that your product is good today and it keeps on growing better and better. What other people are doing or how they growing has no influence on you.
Yo, I think I'm the best host in the game.
There we go.
I do feel it, but I just feel, why isn't the people listening? Like,
Nah, it's gonna get there, buddy.
it's like I'm frustrated. It's like, yo, can't they see I'm the best? In my mind, that's how I feel. But I mean,
But it's all about
maybe
reviewing. Like, how many seasons have you done now? Or how many episodes have you done?
Okay, of my own, I've done like probably 20. Then
That's a drop in the ocean.
listen,
though, bro.
listen, wait. I did 20 of my own.
Yeah.
And then I did 20 with the Babylon Heads.
Okay.
That's 40.
Yeah.
Then now I did about 15. What is that? 55.
Yeah.
That is 55, but there's other ones in between and stuff like that. But I know for sure it's like 55. So
Okay.
maybe I'm not, but I promise you, each time I do it, I apply myself.
100%.
I'm not.
But in that, you've started 3 new chapters, right?
Yeah.
You can't say you've done 55. You've done 15 by yourself.
Okay.
So you have
Now.
to grow that 15, 100%. You got to do the same thing, but you keep growing it. You try something new, but you tweaking it and growing it until it's its own baby. You can't now say, I did 15 there and 15,
15
there.
there.
You got to be consistent with this.
With this.
100%.
Okay. I understand what you're saying.
You got to grow from here. And then you have to think about, I mean, you have now great CD covers and vinyls over here. You got to think of, okay, how would a brand want to be on this table, right? You got to realize, okay, who do I have to bring on? Okay, interesting conversations, 100%. Different people from different industries. I think there's a special story everywhere. So you got to be smart with your guest list, right? But in that conversation, you got to pick up, okay, so why would a brand want to be part of this? Then you got to tweak your structure to that.
To put in a brand
100%.
inside it. Therein lies the rub, you know what I mean? Because
100%.
sometimes I don't want to prescribe to a brand, and so I don't want to be constrained to something like that. So it's really sort of a give and take. But we are now sort of becoming more structured, and there is like input to become more structured, and we are growing to become better at that. But it's just
It's
my
difficult.
art level is not as high as my business acumen level.
James Bond, bro. He's got great concepts. But that's also a challenge that I'm faced with more recently. So Northern Brew, right?
Yeah,
Craft beer. It's a specialty beer. Shelf life of 3 months.
yeah.
Now we into 20 odd retailers and bars and restaurants.
Sure.
Now we need a longer shelf life. No, great. We can't survive. Got the crowd in here, great. We can't survive with 3 months per batch now. Now we need to extend it to 6 months. But in order to get that 6 month shelf life, you got to pasteurize the product slightly, which affects the overall quality.
And taste.
100%. Now it becomes closer to a retail beer than a full-on craft beer. Now we're not going to take it full-on retail. We're still going to have our specialty beer, right? The way we brew it and the flavors and everything. But we got to sacrifice a little to make it viable. Beer's a volume game. We got to get into spa tops.
Are you fully into beer now? You know all
I
the
enjoy
shit.
my beer. I'm drinking no beer at all to genre. That's all you can drink by his house.
Is
So
it?
we catch up.
But
when
you
we
know the
can.
knowledge of it as well. Like
100%,
you
yeah.
apply yourself to the knowledge of it.
If you're gonna run a business, you got to be 100% involved. You can't be there part time.
That's a good way to see it. That's what I want to pick up from you. It's like when you did the suits, like you were 100% understand how to stitch
I
a suit.
hustled, bro.
Now
I
that you're
hustled.
doing the beer, it's like you understand how to what
You got
it
to be
takes.
humble. Like you can't just do your role. You got to understand what your business partner's doing or what this guy is doing. Not to say you must do the work for them, but you must understand what they're doing. So what value you can bring to the table connects the dots. You understand? So if you don't know what your business is doing from step A to step Z, then you can't say it's your business, or you're gonna make faults, or you're gonna feel life is unfair, but you didn't take control of the scenario. You understand? You gotta understand for the very least of what's happening. Not to say that you must do everything from the first step to the last, but you gotta understand what is happening and why it's happening, so you can add value into those segments.
How can you say all the stuff like that, but yet you're a poker player? So.
What do you mean?
Because aren't you risking like a lot when you play poker? Because you play on the big stages.
It's an investment, yeah.
Is it the investment or
It's
is it a
investment.
risk?
So you invest in a buy-in with a chance of winning first prize, right? So let's just take it, for example, the clip you saw. It was a 5,000 rand buy-in game.
Okay. Have you ever lost like big? Like,
Yeah, I've lost big.
you
but
see,
you
so
learn. You learn from
for,
that. So
for me,
that's
it's
why I
like,
don't-
how
yeah.
does all of that go on
So
in one
tournament-
mind, bro?
Tournament poker.
You're so calculated on the one side, and then the other side is like,
So you get
fuck it.
You get two types of poker. You get cash poker and you get tournament poker. Cash poker has high risk but high reward. You can win 20 times your money in a couple of hours in cash poker, but you can also lose 20 times your money in cash poker as well. Tournament poker, it's one buy-in or a certain amount of buy-in structures with one prize. You can't lose more or less than that. So what you put in is what you can potentially get out.
Okay.
So that's why I love tournament poker, because
So
it's
you only play
managed-
tournament poker?
I'm 100% tournament poker.
Okay.
I hate cash.
Less.
I've learned my lesson in cash poker. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've won a lot of money and I've
Okay.
lost a lot of money. It's
Oh,
it's
okay.
just too vital to really make a success out of it. Tournament poker, it's more strategic and it's more entertaining as well, in the sense that it's a journey. One hand midway through the tournament can mess up your whole tournament. So you got to be mentally focused from first hand to the last hand.
But isn't it expensive to go all the way up to Joburg and
is
play in a,
expensive,
a tournament?
But I've earned my right to go. I started with a small guy. I started with the 10 Rand rebuy tournaments, man. Now I'm playing the bigger tournaments because I have the experience and the skill to compete on that level.
Okay.
So it's biding my time. I wanted to go 5 years ago, but I couldn't afford it.
Okay.
But now I can.
You worked your way up to
100%.
go like.
Yeah.
And you earned your right because you must got your own business, mos man. Nah, it's a
Yeah.
lekker way
No,
of
but I
looking
keep
at it.
things separate, eh?
Is it?
There's a poker budget and a business budget.
Now, I mean, but it's cool that you've got all these things. I saw Jamie Webb, like, was also like you the way that you advertising your stuff and getting your stuff out there.
Yeah.
So on the one side, you got like a boxer advertising your Northern Brew. Then you got comedians in your suits and stuff like that. That business and creative acumen, that is super high and it's totally different to anything else anybody else is
Yeah.
doing here in Cape
Look,
Town.
It's a fine line. Like, I get hundreds of messages per month about influencers who want to wear my suits and they can bring me thousands of rand return.
Yeah.
Because I've been in that space, I know the realities of it. I can understand how a lot of small business owners get deer in headlights because they have thousands of followers. Let's give them product and it's going to turn into so many business. But you got to structure that deal. If you don't structure that deal, or there's no formula of why you sponsoring this person. Look, Jamie per se, Jamie is a friend of mine.
Okay.
I'm just supporting his journey. There was no return guaranteed on that. That was just me supporting another Kales River guy who was doing something special. When he started out, he had no sponsors.
But
So
you
it's all
can't say
about
that
why.
because I saw that.
Yeah?
So I see the box, I say, oh, this, and then I again attach something again to
nice
you.
art.
So each time,
Yeah.
I don't know you. I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
I see your suits. I see suits. Oh, this guy.
Understand.
Eventually, I attach something to now. I believe in that, bruh. He's got a dope brand because I believe in his brand because he's gonna make dope suits. He's gonna make dope beer. I believe in his brand. He's gonna.
Where I'm coming
His
from is
service
the
delivery is
direct-
so high.
The direct intention. Jamie and I know each other from small. We used to party together in high school. To see his journey in boxing is admirable. Started very, very well. Yes, it's been high pressure in the big games now, in the big bouts. But he's going to learn from that. He's going to come back stronger. And it's all about supporting that journey. Without that support and the many other small businesses that jumped on board, you might be demotivated. It's expensive to become a boxer and travel
Yeah,
up
I
and
mean,
training
yeah.
and everything. So that direct intention, yes, there's obviously rewards if you look at it from that perspective. But why we sponsored him wasn't for that, okay, we're going to sell beer to his following now. No, it's about supporting someone who's doing one-of-a-kind journey in the community. Because, look, there's so many community sports, bro. For me, poker's a sport, right? I'm going to separate it. But boxing, club cricket, club hockey, like, these guys are doing it purely on passion, after hours, after work. It helps for a small business to come on board and sponsor a kit or give a bit of travel money to the big tournaments.
Yeah.
That goes a long way to make it easier for them. And if we have more of that understanding in our community sport, our Olympic team will be so much stronger.
Yeah, man.
Because it starts at community level and it goes up from there.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like boxing is like boxing and MMA, so combat sports is like close
And
to
it's
our
expensive,
heart
right?
here at the Babbling Needs, like because we cover some of that, and it's like dope to see you cover a bra from like Cape Town. You know what I mean? 'Cause I know he's from Kuilsriver, but he's also from Cape
Kuilsriver,
Town.
bro.
It's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
Cape Town. It's still within the Cape Town area or the
100%.
Western Cape.
Yeah.
And then if you want to, is Kayla outside Cape Town with you? You can't.
We were
you can't-
joking about the podcast. Yeah, Kuilsriver now. It's
do you classify yourself as a Cape Townian or Kales? Both. You
both,
see.
both.
So
Yeah.
when I see Jamie and I see you, I say, oh, that's another Cape Townian like doing that, like, and it's like, I don't like to point it out, but you from my sort of community, you know what I mean? It's like, and it's things like you said, things are not as easy always from our community and stuff like that. And to see a bra achieve that heights, like it's like, oh, I can also do that. I also had an idea, and if I also follow my passions and apply myself, I can reach that levels.
I always use this story because it's important to me. I went with my parents to Kirstenbosch. I was probably grade 10, 11. And at that performance, opening the show was Chad Simon.
Okay, I remember.
And it was that Scene Stars song that went a bit
Yeah.
viral at that time, pre-social media. And I remember this colored O is singing at Kirstenbosch because he can sing and he's passionate about it. That's a relatable story for me.
Yeah.
So what stops me from chasing my dreams? Right?
Yeah.
At the time, I was heavy into sport. I didn't turn out to be an athlete, but I went into sports journalism, which sparked all of this, right? So that's why I say, if you have an idea or passion, follow through with it. See where it goes, because you don't know what other doors it's going to open. I started with an online magazine, went into marketing, went into suits, went into beer, and many other things that's going to come into my life. So
what is next? What is next?
100%.
What is next? Have you got the next project
So-
on the horizon? Since
Yeah,
you naming more things. What is next?
Look, just to before I delve into each project, the idea is to do everything I can while I'm still young, with the hopes that 3 or 4 of them shoot through the roof, and I'm set for life after that. Right? I'm involved in a lot of things, but I'm not saying all of them is going to be successful or all is going to reach the same heights that some of the other projects I've done before has. So the idea is to learn. Northern Brew wasn't with the intention of making money. It was about learning about beer and, in extension, the alcohol industry. So if
So it's not about profit always. It's about just
it
learning.
It can't be about profit always.
Yeah.
Especially in the early stages where there might not be any profit in what drives you. Right?
Okay,
You
okay.
got to have a bigger purpose there.
Yes.
It can't just be about money all the time. Yes, you got to survive. You got bills to pay. 100% understand. But it can't simply be money only. Otherwise, how are you going to find happiness? You're always going to be chasing the bigger buck then.
I agree with you 100% on that point.
And you got to be, there needs to be balance. And that I learned the hard way because I was influenced heavy by money and what I was wearing and what I was driving, etc. early on, where I couldn't afford all of these things. And in hindsight, I wasted a lot of money popping bottles in the club, living a lifestyle that wasn't viable. And I woke up broke the next day. And I'm like, why am I doing this to myself to please people who are not going to be there during my dark days? So I was very fortunate early on to splurge the cash and realize you got to live life better. And ironically, I splurged the cash when I never had it, and now I can save and put into be most responsible with the budgets, you know.
So what's the next project?
So I just signed on board to be part of JC3. It's a private charter company, private plane flights, etc. That's a very interesting industry. There's a level of wealth in this country that you won't believe, buddy. People fly to Joburg, to the Northern Cape, 200K return ticket or return flight. And they spend that money without blinking.
Are you going to try to make it cheaper for us?
So we make it, so our entry level flights are going around to Saldanha and back for 6K. Group of 5 guys or 4, 2 couples, etc. That's a very affordable price for a level of experience that's unattainable right now.
Okay.
Normally you pay about 15K plus, but we're selling it for 6.9.
What is a plane up to, say, Durban, like that?
Okay, look, you can't compare it to a normal flight because there you got 200 passengers all paying 2K. So it works out very, very expensive from a holistic perspective. You're going to fly to Saldan, you're going to fly to the Garden, you're going to fly to Toasty. Places where it normally
Short.
takes 2 or 3 hours to drive, cut into 20 minutes. So you're paying for that time convenience, right?
Okay.
You're paying for the lifestyle. You go to the airport area where nobody else goes. There's no lines, there's no baggage check-ins. You just go onto a flight and you fly. It's a very cool experience, and I'm quite excited to bring that to the market.
Lekker. That's interesting.
Yeah.
What else you got there? You got more than one. I know. Come on.
So the tailored suits has inspired looking at tailored leisure wear as well. I believe the fashion buying experience is way out of line at the moment. You go to Markham, you buy 32 jeans because that's your size.
Yes.
You go to another retail store, you buy another 32 jeans, and both don't fit you the same way.
Yes.
So that's a frustrating experience, right?
Yes.
So what I'm trying to do is create solutions. People love custom clothes made for them, not only in terms of design, but fit as well. So I'm trying to create solutions there where you can use your phone, measure yourself at home, order a custom clothing piece that you put together online in your order, and it gets delivered to you.
So you're planning to make other clothing as well, jeans and stuff
100%.
like that.
Yeah.
I was interested in making like my own pair of jeans because jeans is always uncomfortable.
Jeans is difficult.
Like,
I'll tell you
jeans
off
is
the
so
bat.
like
Jeans is comfortable, but it's the most difficult thing because of the material resources in Cape Town. And that's another sad story. The
Material
textile
resources.
Yeah, resources. The textile and the fashion production industries in Cape Town used to be strong. I'm talking about 30 years, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Everybody had an auntie or mommy who was a designer
Yes.
or someone who worked in the factory. Today, 80% of those factories are closed down. They turn into business parks now. Because people are buying stuff from overseas. It's cheaper.
China.
Yeah. So South Africa is trying to put a tax on it to make it not viable to import everything and depend on local suppliers, but that's not happening fast enough.
so, but I can't find. So me and my friends, maybe we want to make this what you call rash guards, right, for jiu-jitsu. We can't find anybody that's making good stuff like that.
Yeah.
We can't find anybody that's making good like MMA gear that is in here South Africa. Stuff like geese or so like it's not made here in South Africa. Everything like
made
that
overseas, yeah.
is made overseas.
But you see,
even if you
yeah.
if you look at like some of the just the other t-shirts, the quality of the t-shirts. Like say for instance, I want to print on t-shirts, right?
Yeah.
Just I want to do my own run of t-shirts. The t-shirts that I'm gonna get is not good quality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But can I
Stretch
tell you
and come
what
all
the
that
issue
shit.
is? Now, you spoke about jeans, you spoke about t-shirt quality.
All of them. I'm saying in South Africa.
This is the sad rat race we're facing, right? In order to provide a good quality product at a cheap price, you got to have a set production system.
Yes.
So you come to me, a suit maker, and you ask if I can put a G together for you. Okay, cool, I'm going to try it out. I get material. I'm only buying 2 meters because I'm doing a sample for you. I'm setting my structure to make this for you because it's done in a certain way. Now I have to adjust things. Maybe I need to hire an extra employee to sort it out. It costs me so much to put that sample together that the final price that I'm going to sell it to you is not viable to you because it's cheaper to buy overseas. You understand? Now, for me to make the product cheaper locally, I got to set the structure. I have to invest into a team, buy material in bulk. Then I can lower my price. But I don't have the business to do all of that because you're going to buy it overseas. You understand? That's why I hate the argument like locals or custom-made stuff is so much expensive. You're buying into having it done locally. And the more you support, it's going to allow
The more it's
that
going to grow, and then your price over a distance is going to be cheaper.
100%.
Over 10 year, over 5 year period, you're going to be
So
laughing after the 5 years.
100%.
5 to
Northern
but
Brew.
who said your product's still going to be selling after 5 years? That's the product.
That's
right?
the difficulty. That's the difficulty. So am I going to invest into something that you're only interested in on a once-off?
Or is the people going to come back for your jeans over and over and over?
100%. So it's a very difficult, and that's why a lot of the clothing business is very difficult to run into because you don't know what the consistency of that business is going to be. It's very expensive to start, and if it doesn't play out, you lose all that money, all that investment.
I hear you.
With beer, when Northern Brew came out, we're a premium product, so it comes at a premium price. We also brew in smaller batches. People come and compare it to a Castle Light that's made in millions of dollars. It doesn't have the same taste. And they're like, why can't you be as cheap as a Castle? So sometimes you can't always bring your debate down to the lower levels because that's not your market.
Yeah, but I saw that Darling beer, they quite expensive, eh? And they don't shy away from
100%
pumping that price up because
but they
they
started
believe
10
in
years
equality, their product.
They started 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
And they can stand here now today because of that support over the years.
But they believe in the product. They don't shy away from it, and they get behind it. And the fact that they also putting their money back into like sports and stuff like that, that's dope.
Yeah.
But anyway, they you want to ask something?
So I checked out the local scene, the documentary on YouTube, and they spoke about just beer in general, man. And they spoke about the SAB and how it helps like smaller brewers. Is it your experience that they do, or how's the relationship?
Okay, so I'll be fair and say I haven't had a conversation with any SAP professionals to have that discussion. But what I can say is the beer industry is political and it's dirty fighting. The tap space is the space you want because it saves you from bottling, labeling, and tops.
Like, so you just put it in a keg, like?
You just put in the keg and the tap goes. But that tap space, you will find is only 2 or 3 beers per bar because it's limited tap space. And you don't want to have 6 different beers because then it affects the price flow. So people are fighting for that tap space in every bar. So us, the small beer guys, want to be on tap at your big bars and restaurants. We can't because we can't afford what the big names are pushing in to get that space. So we really had to depend on relationships and the fact that we're from Northern Suburbs, from Kales River. A lot of guys gave us that space because of that relationship or that concept. Without it, we would be in slow growth or in a very difficult position.
So now that you're busy, you got so many endeavors, doing things all over the show, and you're starting something new. Do you feel in South Africa that post-COVID times things are gonna blow up, like? Because I have the sense of like things are picking up now.
Yeah, 100%. You're right. I was worried a bit because I was gonna say if you don't feel it opening up, then you missing the wave.
Nah. I feel I'm saying now that you've came up with the ideas now, and some things is hit, some things is missed and stuff like that. But I feel like now things are just opening up. Even like, yeah, people are getting out there. People are, I don't know, maybe they're spending more. They're starting to spend more. Maybe there wasn't money in before. Do you feel that way?
The market's definitely opened up. I'm talking about the last 3 years in general as well. 2020 was difficult. I think people weren't spending just out of the fear.
Yeah.
But I also feel like a lot of people lost their jobs or business closed down. It was a financial disaster. 2021, you still felt the impact of that. And then 2022, I feel like a lot of people got new jobs, new businesses open. I lost, for example, 5 suppliers in various ways. Only 2 companies came to replace them. So I feel there's a big market share open to anybody in any industry. You just got to find out what that opportunity is and take it.
You must just find your passion.
100%.
And now's the time to strike. Because
Now's the
iron is
perfect
hot.
time to start. Especially like, and just a bit of advice, you don't have to quit your job to start now.
Yeah.
You can see how it is. Yes, it's not going to be perfect or it might not be convenient, but if you're willing to sacrifice now, look who you could be in 5 years' time. I'm testament to that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna also keep on grinding. We're also gonna keep on grinding. We got a lot of other shows and I'd like to thank you for coming all the way, man. Sorry, I never knew it's so far for you to travel.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would like to cover before we wrap up?
No, just thanks for doing what you're doing. I know you say it's, sometimes it's a struggle or you don't see the direct reward, but it's gonna pay off. Keep being consistent. Thank you for creating the platform for locals to speak their stories. I think it's very important that we share our experiences.
Yeah.
Hopefully it inspires or it influences someone else's thinking to do better in their code,
Yeah, I've got some people on here before. My one friend Lindsay is an artist, and then I had another different artist on, and then they like sort of connected. Like, so I felt sort of proud in that moment. It's like, people from Cape Town, and Lindsay's in the one side of he's in Canada, but he's almost like now like. He's like wanting to mentor other artists. So it's like dope, man. It's like there is some conversation starting to happen.
Yeah, do you know what's sad, eh? A lot of our most talented musicians will go overseas and make a career for themselves, and they can't do that here because it's just not the same platform.
Yeah.
Like people are willing to pay your value overseas, and it's difficult. But what's important is for them hopefully to come back one day and invest into what they were spending the time in overseas and bringing it back home and reinvest it into our community, so the next musician or the next professional can do something better.
Yeah, that's always the thing. People leave in South Africa with their talents and then they...
But I can tell you, no matter who you are, they must, despite the crime, despite our social problems, there's nothing like South Africa out there. From the food to the people to what we can do here. We take for granted how good our food is, like from curries to...
Yeah, I know about. I was living in London for 2 years. I know about how good our food is. Trust me. We've got a special place. Even like the weather and everything. It's a beautiful place. But obviously, like we say, our social problems. We need to fix that, man. We address that social problem sometimes here, like just like on the show, like that generational curses. That's especially in our community. You know what I mean? That's why it's very important to put back, like you say, put back into the community and try to break that change. I mean, Nantle works like every day with kids in the community, and it's a struggle, man. It's a struggle for the way, just like what he explains from where the kids come from, and it's not always easy, but we keep trying and pushing back.
But we have to. There's somebody watching you, and someone's going to be inspired to do a podcast because of you.
I hope so.
You might not get a direct return in your own physical career, but you can inspire someone else to do it, right? And that is a win for us as people, and we got to think that way in life. Otherwise,
that's
we're always
the
going
win,
to be
not monetary win.
Look, you want to win monetary-wise. Let's not side that. But we got to evolve as a community, and the only way we do so is by making it better for the next generation.
That's true.
And that's why we have to have these conversations. So it opens up minds, opens up perspectives, and hopefully some sort of message here sparks somebody else to start their business, and that creates a new life for them.
Yeah, man. Thanks, man. Thanks very much. And thanks for coming on. I appreciate your time.
No problem. Anytime, buddy.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching today. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. That's a really dope conversation. Peace.